This is Dakar Desert Rally. We're here on Xbox Series X. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So what are we getting here on the platform? Well, it is optimized, meaning we're getting two performance and or graphical type options on the platform. So this is the default option, which is performance mode. So we're getting a dynamic 4K resolution at 60 FPS. And you know what? It actually does look pretty good. Now, I did notice that it does seem to have occasional little performance hiccups or bumps here or there, but for the most part, it's actually not too bad, and I would say for a racing game, you know, especially like just car racing and action, and you know, this is rally and whatnot, I would say performance 60 FPS is kind of your go-to. That being said, there is the option for a native 4K 30 FPS. So, if that's what you want to go for, totally up to you. The image is a bit sharper. I think it's good that they do provide graphical options, but like honestly, you know, having the performance is just like a big deal. Oh, come on. See, now one thing is, I do wish this had a bit of a rewind feature. That would be very, very helpful, but you know, I guess with it being rally and whatnot, I get it. So, what is this game exactly? It is a specifically set rally racing game in this more of a kind of desert-esque sort of thematic area. That being said, it does get really, really wild. We're going to go back to the 60 FPS. Sorry, it's a racing game. I really need the, the fluidity level to be playing. Just wanted to show it off, though, so you can, you know, get an idea of it if that's for you. Totally cool. But yeah, so you're kind of like, whoa. Whoa. Oh, jeez. Okay. That was bad. That's gonna really affect my score here. that was really, really bad. So there's a level of destruction to the game. But what I was trying to get to is environmentally, the game has some really interesting sort of dynamic elements to the visuals. So there's like dynamic and like inclement weather where there's like you can have huge thunderstorms with like rain pouring down, and you know, it could get really, really intense. And then there's like this kind of good little music in the backdrop. I turned it off just in case there's any issues, but the music is actually really bumping in this one. And I would say it all actually comes together in a pretty visually appealing sort of way. Like, I quite like how this game looks. I think there's some bits of like little like light pop in on things, but for the most part I would say it actually hides any of that sort of thing pretty well. And again, I would say visually I do actually find this to be quite an impressive looking game. I think it looks really, you know, having that dynamic 4K 60 I think is the way to go. So many games just kind of like straight up drop the resolution down. And I do feel like you'll have to do some vehicle tuning because, like, I don't know, straight up, like, sometimes the handling could be a bit better. But I would say on the visual front, this is actually quite well handled. I would have also liked a bit of a more play now type mode. It does, like, you have a career that you work through. There is some online, so that you can, like, compete with others if you want to do that as well. So it's kind of neat, and you're working through a bit of a career, and you gotta like repair vehicles, and there's different disciplines too. Jeez, like why does it go off like that? So there's different disciplines. I'm gonna like fail and have to like redo this or something. So you can do like ATV, you can do like bike racing, there's truck racing, there's like these sort of more default type rally type vehicles, which is sort of like, I guess you would say, the regular type discipline as well. And that kind of changes up how you're doing your racing, and then you do different like circuits and whatnot. It's actually pretty creative. And as I said, they've got such a good variety of different levels and locations. I'm actually kind of impressed by sort of the scale of this one. Like, you really do go on these like really long race tracks, and you go across these really different varied environments where it's like you get everything from, whoa, that was crazy. The destruction stuff's really, really cool in this one. I quite like that element of it. But you get to see, like, you know, there's a little bit more deserty focus, but you do get a variety of different, like, you know, town areas, or you get like destroyed sites, or you get something that's a little bit more like tree focused. I want to say like jungle, but more like oasis type things, like, and then big like hilled rock areas, and there's just a lot going on. And then obviously you've got your rally kind of announcer kind of being like, do this, do that, and yeah, it's obviously lowered for me recording-wise, so I can't really hear too much of what he's saying, but that does help as a good indicator of what you're doing. But I think they've actually put together a pretty visually impressive sort of thing. There's actually quite a bit of gameplay behind this one, and I was kind of just impressed by it, because I wasn't really sort of expecting a whole lot. Like, the water looks really nice, too. Like, the visuals, it's just so, like, crisp and clean and clear. And I was just kind of like, huh. Kind of surprised is my biggest thing. Like I've been saying, I just really sort of expected a middle of the road kind of like driving game, but as I've been playing this, I'm like, this is actually really kind of impressive and sort of fun to play. I do think, you know, some little fine-tuning here or there for maybe some of the control elements would be cool, but you know, for the most part it handles fine. And it's also got steering wheel support built right in. There's actually like a setting for different like steering wheel type options if that's something that interests you. And I like the dynamics too of, like, as you can see in like some of the, when I'm driving over water sometimes, you can see how the car kind of, you know, has that extra slowdown and stuff. It's just neat because it's like, obviously you're kind of focused on what you're doing, but you know, it does allow you to like kind of go off a little bit, which is neat. Like, they do play around with things. I'm actually surprised that I've pulled this off enough to actually end up in like even 4th place. I know I was in 3rd there for a second, but wow, that's actually kind of impressive. I was not expecting that. But as you can tell, like, you know, this was like a pretty chunky level that went through a good distance. You saw a lot of things. I actually finished 1st. Is that like the overall stage? The glass is just shattered. So all 4 seasons are present. Full day, night. Billowing storms, grueling rain, snow, deep mud. So again, while it is desertly thematic, there are some different spots you get to visit, like I was saying. So that's kind of cool. You reach the podium, Dakar. And there's the sponsor wheel. Obviously, as you're seeing that right there. So it's supposed to be the biggest and most intense rally racing experience. I think there was like some kind of insane kind of like detail thing that they put out that was like you know, just in terms of like the scale of this place is supposed to be kind of like just nuts, if that makes sense. Like, it's supposed to be just ridiculously large. But you can see I have the different kind of vehicles here. And I think if we go back, see the online free mode. Just trying. Oh, and there's different difficulty tiers too, where it's like sport or different rankings, like a catalog type thing. So these are the different vehicles. Oh, these are the quads too. So cars, bikes, trucks, quads, SXS. Yeah. Yeah, vehicle service. Do some maintenance. The maintenance on the bike. Need to do some maintenance on this thing. Yeah, stream rally, and then you've got all these different places you can go to. Red Sea battle, so that one's completed. Let's do the yeah, let's do this one. Mix it up a little bit so you can see some different terrains. But that's what I'm saying is, like, there's actually quite a lot to this. It does all load pretty fast. Vehicle service, yep. And then you got like these DP points, and that's kind of how you get your different vehicles and, you know, all that fine-tuned stuff. But I like the different environmental stuff. So there's over 30 stages of the full racing from the official 2020, 2021, and 2022 Dakar races. Fully licensed teams, modes, single player. As I mentioned, a large array of different steering wheels are supported if you actually like to do that. Because I know a lot of diehard racers love to be able to do that thing. I got my own wheel, you know, I throw it out every once in a while when I get the moment. But 3, 2, 1. Here we go with the snow. Guess maybe we could have changed up the vehicles. I don't know. It's a fine vehicle. Yeah, but then they've just got like a good sense of detail within the environment, if that makes sense. Like, you know, you could kind of see like the digging into the the snow over the mud and stuff, and it's just kind of like a really neat design that looks really kind of like beat up and intensive, if that makes sense. Like you really feel like you're doing intense like off-road sort of fast-paced rally. It doesn't feel as like contained as some other rally type sports games get. Kind of almost a bit dirt-esque, right? Some of these aggressive like racing enemies too, which drives me crazy. But you know, it's sort of like when I first played the original Dirt back in the day, and I was like, this is a really neat type of racing game. And you know what I mean? I think I kind of get that from this one. But as I did mention, and I think you've been maybe seeing a bit of that too, performance-wise, little bumps here or there. I think for the most part, though, again, performance mode just, for me, really feels a lot better for handling and whatnot. And I think they've just put together, actually, what is a surprisingly decent and pretty good-looking kind of game. This part just drives me nuts sometimes, though, where it's just like I spin out and I don't quite get what I'm doing to cause that. Because I'm just like lightly doing stuff and it just kind of like totally flies off. But I mean, yeah, it's kind of fun. And I was just sort of like, this is a pretty good racing title. I was, I don't know. Again, I just was kind of sitting here being like, oh, okay, whatever, we'll get what we'll get. But as I kind of was going along here doing the tracks, I was like, this is actually pretty cool. And you know, it seems like they've got a good amount of like variation in the different places you go, and that kind of helps keep it a little bit fresh. Because you would think that this would be pretty niche, right? When you look at like racing games like this, where they've got like, you know, some smaller type event. Like, I'm not saying this event's small; it could be like a big thing or whatever, but you know, not as well known. So you say a little bit niche, and you kind of go like, well, you know, it could go either way. It'll be like, you know, kind of a meh kind of game, or it could be bad or something. You don't typically expect this type of game to really exceed your expectations usually. So I do want to give like good props and a bravo to them for doing that sort of thing, where they've actually, you know, exceeded what I had expected for this sort of thing. Because it's fun. It's a little, like, I mean, if you choose the more simulation type things, obviously it's not going to be as arcadey, but you could kind of tackle it how you want, right? I chose the more sport option, and as I was showing a little bit earlier, you know, you get to choose between the different, you know, intensities. Do you want something a little bit more, I don't know, accurate to rally, or do you want to have a more easygoing time? And you know, I kind of want to have a little bit more fun sometimes with this stuff, so that's kind of what I chose to go with. And I think, you know, that's kind of good. Did I go the wrong way? I think I went the wrong way. Gotta accept the time penalty, I guess. That's gonna hurt my score, I gotta say. That's where they give you the twists. But I think it all kind of just comes together for a pretty fun, easygoing, but if you want it, challenging sort of time, with a robust selection of different like track setups that are actually pretty long. Seems like a decent selection of vehicles. I mean, if you're really into, you know, this whole Dakar type thing, this might be your best option for capturing that sort of thing. And if you just like racing games, you might look at this and be like, well, this is a pretty cool racing game with some neat destruction. I just kind of worry about the music too, because I remember I was supposed to turn that off, actually. I'm pretty sure I had turned it off. Yeah, I have the music off, okay. I guess it's a bit of an effects thing. Level of stages playlist. Well, I hope that doesn't impact things, because that would be annoying. But then there's also different like view spots. You can like go all the way back, forward. There's actually like a lot. One of the ones I really, how do you see anything that way? One of the ones I really like is it's got this like super pulled out one. We still don't have that yet. Oh, that's hard. This one, which is, you know, like honestly switching while you're racing between different like angles is the worst. But this one I find just fascinating. It's like a very cinematic kind of pulled out angle. And I would say this racing game kind of like has a lot of different, am I going the wrong way? Where am I going? This racing game has a lot of different like camera angles, and you don't really get that you know, in racing titles, like usually you get a few. You get like, you know, in the passenger seat, you get the zoom up all the way. But this one really does seem to cater to a lot of different choices. It seemed like they were kind of just having fun with the camera angles. And, you know, if they could apply this to like other racing scenarios, they've actually put together, I think, a pretty good like car racing type thing. It's just like to me, you know, I continue on that track of being like surprised. Like really, really genuinely surprised. Like I'm sitting here, you know, playing this, I'm like having a blast with it, which is so weird. Because you just sort of like, yeah, you know, like I said, you just kind of go, oh, okay, whatever. Maybe it's gonna be a mid racing game. Maybe I'll have a little bit of fun with it. But then you're kind of like, huh, this actually is pretty good. Maybe even pretty great. I think a lot of people could actually have fun with this one. And then, you know, you see all the different vehicles racing and that. That's fun. I just took that bike like right out. Holy, that was fun. Waypoint validated. Nice. Hmm. Oh, come on! What? Okay, well, this is not going well. Yeah, I think that kind of killed the race for me. But don't worry, there's a lot of track left, it looks like. That's what I'm saying is also a little crazy to me. It's just like how long these tracks are, like how far they go on. Because usually these rally things are so like kind of almost hit or miss for, you know, visual detail and distance and everything. Like usually you don't get sort of something that lasts and thrives like this one seems to. Just really, really pleasantly surprised is the biggest thing. I think they did a good job with this one, and it's been a lot of fun. Seems like it's a good amount of content. You know, you could play a little bit online stuff, you could do a local campaign. I would just mostly say, you know, small things here or there, and maybe just like a straight up quick play option. At least from what I've seen, I don't really seem to have any quick play thing. That would be kind of nice, because I just sort of expect it for racing games, even ones that are like rally focused, just being able to be like jumping in, seeing the tracks, seeing things. Because I'm not necessarily someone that's like super driven behind actually doing the, I don't know, career thing or whatever. And sometimes the spinouts keep happening. Anyways, I guess at this point just enjoy more, you know, regular gameplay and just non-commentary and enjoy what it has to offer, I guess, and see more of the beauty of it.
2 kilometers. Prepare to turn left. Attention, danger 2. Dip. Forward on trace. Stay on traces. Danger 2. Dip. 1 kilometer. Prepare to turn left. Keep right. Cap 279. Danger 2. Bumps. 2 kilometers. Prepare to turn left. Attention. Danger 3. Bump. Stay on traces. Danger 3. Bump. Forward on traces. Forward on traces. Danger 2 in all the figure. Dip. 2 kilometers. Prepare to turn right. Between rocks. Keep right. Cap 256. Keep left. Cap 251. 1 kilometer. Prepare to turn left. Attention. Danger 1. Keep straight. Cap 192. Bump. 1 kilometer. Prepare to turn right. Forward on traces. Bump. Dip. Forward on traces. Forward on traces. Bump. Stay on traces. Well done, partner, but the luck was against us this time. Prepare to turn right. Keep right. Cap 111. 2 kilometers. Stay on track between trees. Forward on track. 1 kilometer. Prepare to turn left. Keep left. Cap 359. Bump. Forward on track. Forward on track. 1 kilometer. Keep right. Keep right. Cap keep right. Cap 3.